Hey guys, Lori here, pharmacist. So yesterday I had some responses to my posts about the statistics that were going on in China, which are hovering about the same, I might add. Extremely low numbers of people with the disease, the morbidity and dying of the disease in relation to the population. Somebody mentioned something about Italy because the numbers are higher there. And it's funny because right before I went to shoot this video, a friend of mine called and we're having this whole discussion and she brings up Italy and I'm like, oh, it's funny you mentioned that because I happen to have all those numbers and we went over it. Here's my chalk, hello. And she was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, no, I'm not. All right, so Italy, it turns out, has 60,550,000 and change people. Currently, there are 47,021 cases, which translates to about 1 in 1,287 people have COVID-19. That puts him at a morbidity of 0.077%. Morbidity is incidence of the disease. Let's look at mortality based on the population. That's going to be 1 in, well, currently there's 4,032 deaths. They have surpassed China. And that translates into 1 in a little over 15,000 people has died, or a 0.0066% mortality. So as you can see, even with Italy being affected at a higher number, these numbers are still not astronomically high. Especially when you consider the flu and what's going on with the flu and what normally goes on in the flu in Italy. You know, Italy is largely, I think I read 25% of the population is elderly. In America, it's like 16%. So this could be due, and I don't know what the stats are in China, but this could be due to a higher number of people over 60 years old. And what do we know about people over 60 years old? They are, for the most part, have pre-existing conditions. Certainly in the U.S. they do. They've got cardiovascular disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, asthma, COPD, heart failure. They're also on drugs for whatever conditions they have. You got to understand that drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, because your body has to excrete them, they are a huge hit on your immune system. So if you've got a higher percentage of people with that going on, you're going to have a higher percentage of certainly mortality. Certainly mortality. And in this case, morbidity too. Let's look at the numbers of how Italy is affected by the flu. Because I just wanted to do a comparison, like, what are we dealing with? I came across this study. It was through Science Direct, the article, and I can post it, but it was from 2013 to 2017. And they studied each year the mortality of flu in Italy. Now get this, even just reading this article, I was like, it's like every stone I overturn more. I see more crap. And what I found in this is, so 2013 to 2014, the first year they studied, The mortality of influenza was over 7,000. It was like 7,029 or something. I can't remember the exact number. We're going to have 7,000 plus. The next year, 2014, 2015, the mortality tripled. It was over, or almost tripled. It was over 20,000 people died of the flu. Which, I mean, right there, I say the flu, it's going to be flu related. You know, they say influenza, but as we know, they lump flu and pneumonia together and all that. 3 times. Then, the third year they studied, it was over 15,000, which granted is a reduction. However, it's still double what started out here. And honestly, I could not find any statistics for before this because I was real curious. Then the last year that they studied, the mortality from the flu was over 24,000. So in 3 years, it jumped from 7,000 to 24,000. And what were they doing? Pushing the bejesus out of the flu shot. And what do they say? Part of the article was they continue to encourage people that the best way to protect against the flu is your flu shot. The best way to protect against influenza is your flu shot. And I'm thinking to myself, every time a Centers of Disease Control or whatever they're called in another country and here makes a statement, it is time for us as citizens of the world who think and use our brains to ask what studies they are basing that statement on. Because they never tell you that. They just make the statement, they expect you to believe it. Now, here's the problem. They make money off of you being sick, off of me being sick. So they're going to tell me to inject some toxic chemicals because it's the best way to protect me from the flu, and then they've got numbers like this. I don't think so. I can set a precedent. I can decide.org. It's Del Bigtree. CDC here in America says vaccines do not cause autism. I can call them on it. They said, show us the studies. Well, research it yourself. When you look at the studies, it was a joke. If you aren't aware of this, I encourage you to follow up on what I'm talking about because it was a hardcore joke what they produced that they based that statement on. Back to this, same deal. You're going to make claims. Y'all need to start backing it because we're on to you and we realize you make money on us being sick. So, all right, so that's Italy. Chloroquine. Watched President Trump's press conference yesterday, and I had to laugh. Number one, it was the first day of spring. Number two, he basically presents a solution. I mean, there have not been adequate studies done with chloroquine on this particular virus, but it has been shown to prevent coronaviruses in general. I started laughing when I heard him mention it, not because of the reasons that the left wants you to think that was a stupid thing for him to do, but because it's such a shot in the butt for the pharmaceutical industry. Why? Because the last thing pharma wants is for an old drug to be able to help or, relieve, offer a cure or an answer to a new virus, to a new situation. That's not how pharma makes money. They don't make money off old generic drugs. They make money off of vaccines and convincing the whole world that they need a vaccine or entire population of children, whatever. Or they make it on new drugs that they convince you that this is the newest, the latest, the greatest, and you've got to have it. That's how pharma makes money. Chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, anti-malarial, has been around for eons. However, it does not come without its own list of side effects, things like nausea, vomiting, hair loss. It can cause cardiac issues. Of course, Fauci, infectious disease at the CDC, head of infectious disease, or whatever his title is warning, we haven't done appropriate clinical trials, and yet we're using this drug for people that are going out of the country as an anti-malarial. We're using it, rheumatoid arthritis. There's a couple of other reasons. So I find it interesting now, suddenly the side effects are a big deal, and we're going to caution everybody, particularly when we're vaccinating pregnant women without appropriate clinical trials. And you know where I'm going. Okay. So my take on chloroquine is, proceed with caution. But I found it interesting that what Trump basically did is offer up a solution that is really going to do nothing for pharma. And I'm sure they're not happy about that. And they're already coming up with reasons why, the CDC, why, got to think about this. So what else? Oh, I know. So I started coming down with a cold on Sunday. I didn't know what it was. I started sneezing my head off Sunday afternoon, and it turns out it was a cold, I do believe. Now, it may have been COVID-19. I don't know. I had sneezing. I had congestion. I ran a little bit of a low-grade fever, on and off. Then it kind of moved into my chest on Tuesday, and I don't know. Now I've got a little bit of congestion in my chest. It's almost gone. I was trying to figure out where I even got a cold. It turns out it's going to be what I call the binky debacle. My daughter, who's really the only person I've been around, and the baby, because I wanted to let her know I was planning to keep the baby on Tuesday, that on Monday I was like, I think I have a cold. Do you still want to bring, ID Bite over? And she said, oh, I have a cold too. And I'm like, then I must have gotten this from you, because I haven't been around anybody. But it turns out we both hold the binky in our mouth just like that when we tote the baby from one room to the other. So she and I are no longer sharing a binky. I have my own designated binky for the baby. And yeah, because my daughter works at the hospital and she's around, not really patients, but she's around people. So I figure that's probably where she picked it up. Anyway, it's a very short-lived cold. I treated it with what I usually treat it with. Absolutely nothing. Any kind of illness I get. I just ate more fresh fruit, which I normally eat fresh fruit, but I kind of went all raw diet, if you will, for a couple of days to help throw it off. If I'd have been feeling really bad, I'd have started juicing. But I wasn't. I was feeling actually okay. Just kind of, it was more like irritating than anything. Because at the end of the day, what difference does it make if it's COVID or if it's influenza B, A, or anything else, a non-influenza like? I mean, who cares? At the end of the day, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to take a drug because it's not a cure. I'm going to boost my immune system, which is already strong, but I'm going to boost it even further. And it's going to go away. And that's exactly what happened in a very short time. Okay. So I'm here for you guys. Any questions? My website is thewisepharmacist.com. I've gotten some really good responses, people asking questions, people needing consults. So I'm here for you. My goal is to help you to understand what your prescription drugs are doing in your body, to help you hopefully improve and reverse disease by adopting some new habits. It's not really so much about giving up old habits. I don't try to focus on what people have to give up unless I really think something is causing an issue, and then that's a different thing. But it's more about adopting new habits and doing what it takes to boost your immune system, learning what it takes to boost your immune system, improve your body, your lifestyle, your health, learning how food works in your body. That's what it's about. It's all really very simple. But I'm here for you. All right, love you guys. Talk soon.